All right, so let's get started so we make sure we end on time. My name is Andrea Sunar, and I'm your customer experience manager here at Contentsquare. Welcome everyone, and thank you again for joining our next installment of the Data Products webinar series. Today we'll do a brief data products overview again, and then we'll dive right into our today's topic, omnichannel attribution. If you missed our last two sessions on frustration score and field analytics, you can watch those on demand in the community, and we'll drop a link to the community in the chat shortly. Speaking of community, we just relaunched it last quarter. It's bigger and better than ever before. If you're not familiar with community, it's our online space for all our clients. You can find on demand past sessions, any upcoming events and webinars. You can interact and chat with other clients, ask any questions in the form of a chat or a forum. It's really, for you guys to check out. I encourage you everyone to log on. You just need your Contentsquare ID. It's a really neat place. So before I introduce you to our speakers today, I would appreciate if you could answer a quick poll just about what else you would like to see from Contentsquare and how you would like to be engaged and what other types of webinars and engagement you'd like to see. We have different ways you could be involved or things you could watch. We always have roundtable discussions by different industry or topics, in-person events and meetups like with our community, so you can meet face-to-face with other clients. If you have any successes at your job and you want to work with us and give a case study, we'd always love to hear from you and share that with other clients, what works, what doesn't. If you ever want to meet with other customers, virtual, in person, provide product feedback. We love connecting our clients directly with our product team, what we could improve on. It helps us make Contentsquare better. If you ever want to participate in future webinars, roundtables by speaking, giving us those case studies anyway, always want to have you guys on board as our client base. You're the most important to us and hearing from you. We'll just give a few more seconds for the poll and then we'll move on. Right. All right, so let me introduce you to today's speakers and then we can get this data party started. First up, we have Jason Miller, Contentsquare's Worldwide VP of Field Innovations. With over 25 years of experience in the technology space, Jason held positions such as Akamai's Chief Strategist of Commerce and 15 years as CTO for Motorcycle Superstores. Our second speaker today is, we welcome back Jack Worry, the CMO at our partner UBIX Lab. Jack is a marketing and product executive with broad experience ranging from SaaS and financial services to DTC, e-com, and digital agency. Over his career, Jack has driven massive growth for a variety of companies ranging from Incorporated 500 to Global 2000. And now I'll kick it off to Jason. This is meant to be interactive, so if you have any questions, feel free to drop it into the chat. We'll try to either answer them live, or if not, we'll be able to reach back out to you with those answers. So without further ado, I kick it over to you, Jason.
Great. Hey, everyone. I'm just going to kill this video for the presentation here and share my screen. And what we'll do is, as we've done on the last couple, we'll do a quick recap of the data products for those that may not have seen the previous webinars. So at the very base of CS raw data export is the base of all these other exports that we talk about. This is generated and delivered via an API, usually in a JSON file, just because there's a lot of data in this. There's 78 different page level data points, and I won't read them all off to you since we're doing this as a quick recap, but feel free to reach out if you have any other questions. I just wanted to highlight again, like I did last week, now we have speed analysis data available in the raw data export, which I think is really cool. And obviously, we're going to go over a lot of use cases today with UBIX and with different ways to use this data to extend your other third-party data sets and to get more insights across a full spectrum of your customer journey, as well as our frustration score export that we talked about in the previous webinars as well, being able to tell you how your customers are interacting with the site, give you a score, a KPI, or a benchmark that you can use as you do site changes, as you look for areas of improvement, whether it's rage clicking, excessive hovering. One quick thing I'll point out here is we do provide you with all the fields that go in to build the frustration score, which I think is really cool, because then you can go and you can make your own scores based off of what values are most important to you, depending on the page types as well. And just that extends raw data export, so it goes into all the other different BI tools, whatever you want to do with it. And then field analytics, which is the very granular level interaction data that happens when a user is filling out a field. Any form on your site, you can use this for, we spoke about, looking for customer experience issues like fields that they don't want to fill out or that they hesitate on, or you can look for fraudulent type things or bots based off of, how fast are the cohorts at time filling out the form, is it unrealistic? But there's a whole webinar on this one as well. And then live signals, and I'll spend a moment longer on live signals today because it kind of applies to what we're talking about here with Omnichannel. But live signals is these frustration metrics, a few fraud signals, and the ad blocker signal that we can then send to any third-party tool or CDP for you to actually act on. And so one of the first integrations we did with live signals was with Telium. And I think it really applies really cool here with the Omnichannel thought process is with Telium, any other tag that's on their event stream, we can send that data into, and then you can use it in that tool. So whether you want to use it later for segmentation, look at frustrated users or people who had ad blocking happening, or if you want to try to trigger it in real time, like we have outlined here, where you could trigger a Qualtrics survey based off of a user's frustrated experience. Or you want to kick it into some backend system so that maybe when that customer's in the store or doing something else, you have this knowledge that they had a frustrating experience on the website. What can you do to make it better once they're in store or working with your loyalty program? So with that, kind of jump into the Omnichannel. And, I like this quote here, there's a lot of different definitions of Omnichannel, especially in Europe. It's a little different than North America, but, the real concept of Omnichannel is that just seamless quality customer experience across all the different contact channels. And why that's important, obviously, is the higher amount of touch points that customer uses, the higher level of conversion and lifetime value that they're going to have. I really like that this quote here that 50% of people are using more than 4. Years back with Akamai giving this presentation, we were talking about, mobile and desktop. Now we're talking mobile and desktop and social, and did they go in physical store? So there's all these different touch points that we can use to optimize that customer journey. So kind of on that definition side, talking about, the old term was multi-channel when they're going across these different use cases, and then there's omnichannel where we're connecting them all together. With the multi-channel approach, a lot of times what happens is that customer's data is siloed away in those particular places. If they only interacted with you in store, are you doing anything to connect that up with their interaction when they're online? How are you connecting that social experience to that online experience? And so with omnichannel, we want to connect all those together. So if you think about all the different data types that we've actually shared in the past with the raw data export and everything else, when we put these into other third-party channels, maybe it's your POS system and you're matching these customers up so that you then know how they're interacting with your website as they go through the store. Or the one I want to touch on here is actually taking the data in the other direction. So Contentsquare has an enrichment API. And one of the main use cases for this right now is that we can take data from your offline customer journey, say they call customer service, and they have a complaint or they have an issue. You can push that data back into Contentsquare that they had this call and they had this phone interaction. Then you can go segment by users who actually used your call center, figure out maybe what's in the journey that's causing them, trouble. Is it looking at the, one of the common ones is the shipping cost is too high or the shipping time. So they want to call in and get a person to tell them. So being able to cut out the need for those calls by providing better information on your website and making that whole journey for the customer better so that they don't have to call customer support. Now, I'm going to pause just for a second if anyone has any questions there, but the enrichment API is extendable to other things. Now, I can't actually see the chat, so someone will have to tell me if there is a question. But being able to take that offline data and then use it for segmentation or looking at replays within the platform is one of the cool use cases, but there's a lot of other use cases depending on what other third parties we could send the CS application data to, that they could then push their data back into the system.
Jason, currently, but feel free to unmute yourselves and ask a question if you have one during the pauses, or toss it in the chat and I'll relay it back.
Okay, great. So another interesting use case that some of our customers are taking advantage of is the ability to try to map up these customer journeys between the store and the mobile device. So we know that a lot of customers, they're pre-shopping. They're looking up things on their phone, and maybe they're even adding them to their phone in the cart. And it may make it look like you're having a poor experience on the web because you've got all these abandoned carts. And how do you address that? But in reality, a lot of customers are using it to find if there's inventory in store. They want to go into the store and shop for these items. If it's available within a certain mile radius, I think one of the Google stats talks about, if it's available within a 5-mile radius, people are more likely to go pick it up than they are to bother ordering it if they can get it from the store. So we can actually take and get those CS replay links into your in-store POS systems by matching whichever kind of variables you have, whether it's you're doing a hashed credit card in the background, whether you're using a loyalty program ID, whether you're using a login ID, and then you just connect all those systems together. And now you can go look at this customer's behavior before they went into the store by watching the replay or segmenting all those users who came into the store and did pre-shopping. What can you do to make that experience better? Another in-store use case, and I'll talk about two on the same slide, is, a lot of stores now have, the associates have tablets. Are you monitoring that experience? Are you able to connect that experience, just like we spoke about with maybe loyalty programs or something else, to actually connect those users' journeys to see what they're doing, or to see how your associates' experience is? I'm not going to name the retailer, but I was recently in shopping for electronics, and they have to go on their own website to try to find the item to see if the item is the same price on their website as it is in their system, and they can't connect those two. So you're actually watching the associate navigate the website to try to find the item for you. So optimizing that kind of thing. The other interesting one, is looking for patterns in this inventory-based geolocation kind of thing. So if we know that customers are more likely to want to go into a store and buy something if it's available nearby, can we compare those two journeys and that inventory, or maybe the pattern lookups for how they're looking up what products get looked up most in store and what products get looked up most by an associate in the store, and start matching those things up from an inventory standpoint or a stocking standpoint. And the last use case I'll talk about here is an interesting one. Another client had us do some custom work for, is they used a lot of warehouses to fulfill their B2C use case. So they had all these warehouses with different availabilities of how fast they could ship it to the end client or ship it to an installer. And the problem was this data is real time. And so they didn't have a way to track what availabilities the end customer saw and how they made their choice. So what they were looking at is some items may not have sold as well because they were saying they were more expensive to ship to an installer, or they were going to be out of stock nearby the customer. And so we actually started tracking that inventory data within the Contentsquare system and pushing that out to them to connect with their vendors to optimize that solution. And so the last one, I touched on this briefly in one of the previous webinars, but is our Salesforce Marketing Cloud integration. So being able to, I like the term hyper-personalized, because if someone's shopping on your site, and in the example, we have a little video of this, which I won't show on the webinar, but the link's in the webinar for it. But say a person goes and they look at a pair of pants, they look at 5 pairs of pants, but they spend the most time on the 5th pair of pants, and they're changing the sizes and they're doing things and they're very engaged, and then they bail on you and they bounce. Well, when you retarget them, you want to retarget them on the thing that they spent the most time looking at. you don't want to retarget them on all the things they looked at that may not be relative. So being able to look at that, how long they spent on it, what was their view time, what was their, how much did they scroll on the page? We can take all these metrics in and make a more targeted solution to that customer based on what they actually did. Same thing, the example there at the end with improving retention, and we talked about this with, frustration scores and things like that. If we push the frustration scores into here, then your retargeting method might be different for the people who had a poor experience as compared to people who did not have a poor experience. So being able to really just get very granular about how you retarget people. Now we've got a couple really cool examples coming up, so I won't steal them from Jack, and I'll let him go through how within the UBIX platform, we're taking this data and doing some new unique things with it. And with that, Jack, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Jason. All right. Well, thanks, Jason, again, and everyone. I'm Jack Borey. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer here at UBIX Labs, and I really appreciate the next 15 minutes of everyone's time today. For those of you who aren't already familiar with UBIX, I'll give a brief speed date introduction before I dive into some of those interesting things that Jason mentioned that we're doing with Contentsquare data and Omnichannel analytics. Amongst the many things that makes us unique, we are the only no-code end-to-end advanced analytics platform on the market today. For the business user, that means that we bring you closer to your data and give you user-friendly control you didn't have before. And for the technical user, that means we supercharge you and your teams, making you look like superheroes and advancing your abilities to drive change faster and with better return on investment for your organization. For many of you, no code won't mean anything, but I hope to change that. To those of you who know, you already know how powerful an organization can be when innovators at all levels have access to powerful tools that are easy to use. We specialize in helping medium to large organizations become intelligent businesses. To us, that means leveraging intelligent data and applications to their fullest, integrating internal and external data to fuel valuable insights, and providing foresight and intelligent action towards growth and expansion. Over the past 4 weeks or so, I've personally attended every single CX Circle dinner around the country. And I've had the amazing opportunity to get to know many of you in person. We've talked shop, we've joked around about what works and what doesn't, and I've learned a lot from all of you. Amongst those many morsels of goodness, what remained consistent across all of our conversations was that every single one of us is in some stage of digital transformation, regardless of the technological maturity of your organization. Something that I'd like to make sure everyone takes away from today is that we drive digital transformation across your entire organization. We're innovators and we're change makers. We just happen to have made it simple and less painful than has historically been the case. Regardless of your organization's technological maturity, we can help not only to make you look better in your org, but to get your org to its intended outcomes more efficiently and with better preparation for the future. We will always be in a perpetual state of digital transformation moving forward. There's no finish line to this game. There will always be another layer of maturity on the horizon, and it's our mandate here at UBIX to leave your organizations better prepared for the future than you would be without us. UBIX stands for ubiquitous, and we have a broad purview that bridges all the way from ERP as partners of SAP, Sage, Acumatica, NetSuite, Oracle, Microsoft, and everything in between, to the marketing and customer experience solutions we're talking about today. With that in mind, we've found that most of the use cases we support in our partnership with Contentsquare tend to revolve around these 6 quadrants. Building a dynamic and truly 360-degree view of customer behavioral analytics, and giving our customers an unprecedented view into their users' behaviors and helping them to build greater context around those behaviors. We'll be talking about this more in the next webinar series coming up in December. We also focus on empowering funnel and conversion optimization, both online and on-prem, empowering design, engineering, and marketing professionals with the insights they need to optimize not only individual websites, but entire funnels, including promotions and in-store transactions. And then what we're talking about today, omnichannel attribution, personalization, empowering marketers, paid acquisition specialists, design and engineering teams with comprehensive tools they need to personalize the customer journey and properly attribute and optimize paid and organic acquisition activities across the entire customer journey. We also have some fun, as those of you who have heard from me before, we have some fun with bot detection and cleansing. It's not our job to keep bots off your site. It's our job to help you understand what traffic on your site is bot traffic. And that really is there to ensure that all the good effort that I've mentioned already in terms of CRO and behavioral analytics and omnichannel attribution are applied in the right places. Detecting bots in your data and cleansing that data stream of your bots allows for a clean view of valuable customer behaviors. Keeping in mind that thing to remember here is that bots don't buy things. In a past life, I managed to, millions of dollars a month in paid ad spend for previous organizations. And while that was a different time, with even one of those accounts spending $1 million a month on, let's call it Facebook and YouTube alone, if I had known then what I know now and had the ability to cleanse my traffic of upwards of 30% of non-valuable insight, well, I might have saved my organization or better allocated upwards of 30% or $300,000 a month due to skewed data. And then we bring everything together for our customers that have a retail footprint with our retail optimization solutions that really brings that on-prem world together with the digital footprint. And this is for anyone well beyond just retail organizations. And then we have a lot of fun with our CX and CS optimization, because at the end of the day, how we solve for conversion rate optimization is pretty much the same as how we would solve against or solve to prevent risk-related customer interactions like customer service and bug ticketing events. It's all the same customer journey. One just ends in success and the other in a complaint. So this is what we call our shared Contentsquare UBIX ecosystem. We leverage our partnership with Contentsquare and data received through raw data export and combined with a variety of external data sources to allow for modeling, shaping, and not only descriptive and predictive, but also prescriptive analytics. Normally I'd move on quickly from this slide. In the past, we've talked about things like field analytics and frustration and fraud scoring, but today is about omnichannel solutions. So we'll spend a little bit more time dissecting this as it represents the foundation of everything omnichannel in our ecosystem. I think it's important to emphasize that this slide can be misleading. It shows the outputs of our ecosystem being some pretty pictures, data visualizations, and what might look to some as eye charts. This does not tell the whole story of what we do. And that's one of the more important things I'd like you to take away from today's webinar. Most tools that provide you with pretty pictures and visualized insights are nice, but they only empower your organization so far. We offer a BI layer in our platform, or we play nicely with your existing BI layer, but we're so much more than pretty pictures and visualized insights. As I've said in almost every Contentsquare webinar posted to date, and this is agnostic of our platform, all of those pretty pictures and insights should always be thought of as more than just pretty pictures. They're features that, when empowered with the right technology, can intelligently feed up dynamic data to your many other systems to make them better, faster, smarter, and so much more valuable to your organization. your CRM, your CMS, email marketing tools, they're all blind to the insights your current analytics tools provide you. But with UBIX, they see everything you want them to see. This allows for dynamic content insight, dynamic customer outreach, dynamic journey mapping, all vastly improving efficiencies, profitability, and customer experience within your organization. And we have a short time together, so we'll only be able to get through so much. We're going to hit on some of the most important kind of top line items here, but I'd encourage you to reach out to your CS rep to schedule a demo with us if you're at all curious. I'm obviously a marketing geek, and nothing would make me happier than to do a deep dive with all of you. For today, we're going to talk about how our platform can be leveraged to completely change your perspective on omnichannel marketing. As Jason said, that is all too true, regardless of whether we're talking about different geographic regions, different functional departments of an organization are going to look at omnichannel differently. Your CFO is going to look at things very differently than your CMO. And as a result, omnichannel can mean very different things to very different people. I'll do my best to address core use cases with the understanding that we are at our core a rapid innovation platform and have solutions for even the most obscure of use cases. We're also going to mix things up a little bit and look at these solutions from a day in the life of two different but equally valuable use cases and user personas. One, a financial services company, and the other, a DTC e-commerce company. They're both in many ways different, but in so many more are similar, if not the same. For the sake of today, let's assume that both require demand and lead gen, both employ an omni-channel strategy, and both seek to improve conversion through a better understanding of attribution, media mix, and journey mapping. Our approach to omni-channel analytics is fourfold, and where we really shine is in the layering of those features to provide unprecedented insight into things like personalization and attribution modeling, media mix modeling, testing and optimization, and journey mapping, and what we're calling value stream analysis. For those of you from a lean agile world, you'll know what I'm talking when I talk about value stream analysis, but we have a nice little spin on it. All of these things are important to those example personas that we're using for today, and hopefully to all of you as well. Whether you're in acquisitions, design, engineering, an understanding of where your customers came from, what their journey with you looked like, and what mix of medias best suits that audience, it should matter to all of us, as they have material effect on how we optimize within our respective wheelhouses. Just like omnichannel, attribution modeling can be somewhat of a controversial subject amongst marketers, especially those of us with a background in the acquisition arts. We tend to lament the challenges of first touch or first click versus last touch attribution and the insights to be derived from each, as well as the chasm of unknowns in between. Those of us who have been around long enough understand that even if we think our organization can safely attribute between the two, it never truly is representative of the customer journey. With that in mind, we developed our intelligent attribution modeling. To do this, we leverage first-party data sources from all your major channels, Contentsquare data, and layers of several of our solutions, including dynamic audiencing, which we spoke about in our last webinar, to serve up descriptive, predictive, and prescriptive analytics addressing blended attribution at any point along the customer journey. What we've done here is to provide a dynamic and highly intelligent blended view of customer acquisition and attribution, not just along first and last touch modeling, but with a blended and weighted model, behaviorally weighted model, not only giving you insights not available before, but also allowing you to turn those insights into features that can empower other systems, as I've said before, to be better, faster, more intelligent, and more valuable to your organization. When implemented correctly, Our attribution modeling, even before productionizing solutions and automating and empowering those other systems, as I've been alluding to, has been attributed to significant increases in return on investment, return on ad spend on paid campaigns, a significant lift in organic campaign performance, as well as a kind of a business resolution to persistent management problems around visibility of performance concerns with organic acquisition teams when assessing effort versus reward on a single campaign or across at the entire platform level. And platform utilization, our platform utilization has also typically been attributable with increased quality of leads, along with lower cost per click, lower cost per acquisition, increased conversion, increased recurring revenue, higher ACV at the 30, 60, 90-day level, as well as increased LTV. Combined with some really simple strategies, this can also lend significantly to decreases in refunds, chargebacks, and things like bad debt as well. Going back to our test personas for today's discussion, our financial services customer might use this information to better understand the procuring source of their traffic, which touch point resulted in conversion, and to derive greater insight about what those things mean about the customer or customer segment. A major credit card provider, for example, may see the gross volume of their referring traffic coming from a website like thepointsguy.com, not understanding the internal conflict of interest in that relationship. While the majority of consumers of credit cards, for example, are most likely to qualify for an entry to median level card, there's nothing incredibly exciting to write about those products. And the result is a referring source that drives essentially clickbait through articles about only the highest level card and the most interesting benefits, the platinums, the sapphires, the other premier cards available today. Unfortunately, this results in potentially unqualified leads. This can be a problem, or with UBIX, it can be an opportunity. It really comes down to whether you have the technology to understand your audience. Understanding that traffic in the above, in this example, has been attributed with our platform use with significant lift in campaign performance, as well as significant insights, not only to the customer journey mapping, including kind of characteristics of the customer prior to landing on your site, but also the underlying value streams that emerge from concentrations of users across similar journeys and those similar outcomes. We're going to touch on that a little bit later, but these value streams are incredibly important benchmarks that can be used to understand and optimize experience and conversion. Complementary to our intelligent attribution modeling is our advanced media mix modeling. This is kind of where all of your various dials and levers are located within our platform related to each channel and media you employ, as well as various reporting on each, anomaly detection, and dynamic systems enablement, as well as the standard and not so standard kind of back office items that everyone likes to see, including expense, return on investment, customer segmentation, concentrations of user behaviors, and everything else under the sun. We do this by layering together, at this point, over 230 different data sources through our trained models that result in outputs, including not only descriptive and predictive analytics, but also prescriptive analytics and the ability to put those insights into action, empowering all of those channels with the same intelligence. We always want a real person turning the dials and pulling the levers in your organization. But with our platform, with UBIX, you can rely on us to handle the gross majority of your media mix and channel testing, optimization, and automation. And that's where I'd like to pause for just a second on what we've presented here. UBIX not only provides a playground for ingestion, shaping, and analysis of data, but we also provide the ability for in-platform testing with some really fun features like weighted scoring across a variety of variables, the ability to run in-platform bake-offs, and to use the results, good or bad, to empower your systems with knowledge not available to them before. Whether your goal is to compare 2 models or 20, our system can support real-time comparison and feed up insights not only about what's going right, but what's going wrong. In the pursuit of optimization and increased conversion, I think many of us forget the value of failure and the insights to be derived there. A great example of this can be applied to our DTC or e-com test persona for the use of this conversation that I mentioned earlier in the presentation. Though I will maintain confidentiality, this is a real life example of our system kind of employing failure as a feature to avoid failure in the future. The customer in question was a very e-com heavy business and relied heavily on Facebook and lookalike audiencing for their customer acquisition. Unfortunately, while Facebook ads represented the lion's share of demand and lead gen, it also represented the highest volume of returns from that same customer base. Very cringeworthy, but there were times this company saw spikes in return rates in excess of 30%, and their chargeback rate was rising similarly. Not only were the returns crushing, but their merchant services weren't too happy about the spikes in chargeback rates, something that many people don't understand can be incredibly costly to an organization. So we ran the analysis, provided an assessment that Facebook was in fact their best performing acquisition source, and confirmed that it was in fact also their most problematic acquisition source. Using our system and our dynamic audiencing model, we were able to derive a sub-audience from the existing Facebook lookalike audience that matched the behavioral profile of those most inclined to return, refund, or chargeback. Our system, leveraging Facebook's CAPI or conversion API, then created a new audience, suppressed that new lookalike or that new likely to refund lookalike audience from their existing lookalike audience in all future campaigns. The result was an overnight drop in returns from in excess of 30% to less than 12%, with no prevailing seasonal spikes or spikes in line with any of their major promotional pushes. Not only that, but obviously chargebacks dropped to next to nothing, and all their issues with their merchant were resolved. And all of what we've discussed so far culminates with our dynamic journey mapping and value stream analysis. In this, we provide you and your other systems with detailed flows of customers within your site, cross-referenced against our dynamic audiencing model. That allows for real-time mapping, not only allowing you the ability to benchmark and observe shifts in customer behavior, but also to see where those journeys develop into patterns of concentrations of user behaviors across larger groups. Those concentrations clearly reveal value streams within your organization, again, allowing for benchmarking and an understanding of shifting sentiment, as well as testing and optimization and the empowerment of downline systems with those intelligent insights. Back to our financial services example, if I know that I have a fundamental conflict of interest with my referring source, for example, writing articles about platinum cards, when the majority of my consumers are going to get green cards, or an entry-level chase card versus a sapphire, and my customer's actual journey is incongruent with the acquisition source, then the burden falls on me, as in the organization, to understand those common pathways, and not only to drive the customer experience towards the correct journey, but do so via education and nurturing at the same time. You have to understand those commonalities, those common value streams, to be able to then maximize and optimize against them. And to those of you, because I've had a few I've interacted with now in person who have been misled in the past by someone else pitching them on complex solutions that are branded as user-friendly. One of the things I'd love to drive home is that we are in fact and actually user-friendly. Everything we do is drag and drop or simple selection. And I'd love the opportunity to give you all a demo of the platform and show you just how easy it can be for you to do amazing things effortlessly with your data. And with that, I can hand it back to you, Jason, unless we have any questions.
All right, thank you, everyone. I will just give you a few updates coming up that could be of interest to you guys. And also, while before I give you these, if anyone wants any other follow-ups, I will launch this poll, let us know, and we'll make sure to reach out to you about anything you heard today. So while that's going, just wanted to tell you quickly about a few things coming up. Everything you've seen with Contentsquare before and anything upcoming, as I said, you can find it on our community. Everything will be on demand. We had our CX Circle. It was our flagship event last month, and it was super successful. We had over 10 different sessions, lots of clients participating, speaking, so many different topics, things. I definitely encourage you to guys check that out as well. This is the rest of our data products webinar series. You can see what the two we had, again, on demand. Omnichannel was today, and coming up in December, we have 360 behavioral analytics. And then in January, we'll do our live signals, which will conclude our webinar series. And then we have two upcoming roundtables, one for travel and hospitality. We'll have our clients WestJet and CWT talking about kind of the industry trends. And then our FinServe roundtable with BlackRock and Discover Card as well, talking about how the financial customer has evolved, how to map that customer journey and convert. So all these links will be dropped in the chat, and we'll follow up as well. So these are the exciting things coming up that we hope that you guys join us for as well. And with that, thank you again for joining. And we look forward to having you at our next session on 360 behavioral analytics in December. Thank you and have a great rest of your day.